All right, everybody. Aaron Breitman, the Scarlet Faithful. A little bit after Rutgers completes an epic comeback, 19-point comeback in the second half in Happy Valley at Penn State. Just a unbelievable win for many reasons. I was on the post-game call, Zoom call with Peichel and Derek Simpson. Caleb McConnell were on there, and I asked Caleb basically, he's the elder statesman of the program, year after year after year. This team with their backs against the wall, they come up big. They come up big every time, and get that key road win that they need. This is now two in a row at Wisconsin, at Penn State. And he said the key was it's pretty simple. Sticking together, in terms of just staying together. And, it sounds simple, but I mean, that's literally what this team did. And, it's really just a credit to the program, a credit to the coaches, a credit to these players. I mean, they've been through hell and back this season. I mean, they really have. I mean, they've been through so many injuries. Peichel talked about in the call, McConnell basically being in the training room the last 48 hours. I mean, he's clearly not 100%. And what McConnell did in the second half of this game, I mean, I hope everyone understands and appreciates what he did, because Jalen Pickett is a first-team All-Big Ten player. He's on the Naismith list for Player of the Year. He's one of the top 20 players in college basketball. He did not take a shot in the second half. Penn State did not score a field goal in the last 9:15 of the game. Seth Lundy had a, awful shooting night, best three-point shooter in the conference, 1 of 16 from the field. I think it was 0 of 11 from three. That was a huge factor. But Jalen Pickett, Penn State just got caught up and they got worn down. I mean, Rutgers defensively, after that first, start of the game, I mean, played as well defensively as they have all season. So I think there's a lot to talk about. I have to try to stay focused here, but I think there's some big picture takeaways from this game that are huge. And I think this team can play defense at a really high level, even without Moat Mag. But I think offensively, it was dreadful for a long time. There was a flipping mentality tonight, and it came from Derek Simpson. Derek Simpson, it wasn't just that he had a big game. It wasn't just that he scored, when they needed a scorer. He got Rutgers out of their funk based on his fearlessness. He was decisive. That call with the ball in his hands, with over a minute to go, top of the key, and he just beat his defender off the ball. And I mean, they spread out the floor. I mean, he does that better than anyone on the team. And they put him in a huge spot, and he delivered in a big way. And I think it's not only that Derek Simpson now gives them a skill set that no one else on the team has. We've kind of known that, but the way he displayed it in tonight was unbelievable. But it was more for me, it was the big picture take is the mentality. He got this team mentally right in the second half. You saw Cam be more aggressive. You saw Caleb be more aggressive. You saw Cliff be more aggressive. Oscar Palmquist hit 2 massive three-pointers in the second half that were critical to Rutgers coming back. I mean, they were down 19 points with 18 minutes to play. And they had some huge shots. But I thought the mentality of Simpson, obviously in the first half, he scored the last 7 points in the second half. I tweeted in the first half, they needed to get it to single digits into halftime. They were down 17. He scored the last 7, cut it to 10. They immediately give up 9 points to start the second half. And it was like, oh my goodness, here we go. It just, I mean, listen, it's completely fair to have a terrible feeling in this game. I don't need to criticize people, but people that just were giving up in the first half, the season's over. I mean, listen, this is why you have to let things happen. You have to let things play out. And I said it pretty adamantly in my podcast on Friday. I just feel like this team just needed a switch in mentality. you know, and there's, I don't think they're broken. I think that, you know, I mean, Simpson gave them a dynamic tonight, and the whole team kind of followed. And it's remarkable because he's a true freshman, but, you know, they just needed to be more aggressive and confident. And I really think it's kind of that simple. And, you know, for whatever reason, Paul Mulcahy's really struggled. He struggled again tonight. He didn't make a shot. He didn't score. He fouled out. And, you know, I see people already calling for him to be benched and, you know, Simpson start. And I don't think that's going to happen. I think you have to, that's a checkers move to think of it that way. The chess move is that this is now going to help Paul snap out of his funk because they need him. They need him. And if he can get back to having, I mean, you saw him tonight. He'd get into the lane and he lacked confidence. He lacked assertiveness. He got stuck. And I felt like the whole team kind of was with him. And then Derek just, you know, full throttle, attacking the rim, and the team followed. And I think that, you know, Mulcahy can learn from that. And you can't give up on Paul Mulcahy. He's meant so much to this program. You know, I think that tonight can be an eye-opener for the entire team. Obviously, the way they utilize Simpson moving forward is huge. But I really like the way Peichel, you know, and I think it's been fair to criticize some of his rotations lately, some of his lineup decisions, some of his substitutions. I thought tonight, you know, the way he used the bench the second half, you know, he had an offensive lineup in there for the comeback. That was with Oscar, Cam, Derek, Paul, at times rotated with Caleb, and Cliff. But he had Oscar out there a lot, and I mean, credit to Oscar Palmquist. I mean, come on, like he's he was an afterthought before the Minnesota game. That wasn't that long ago. That was 6 games ago. I can't even remember. But I mean, the role he's playing right now, and the 2 shots he hit tonight. And listen, he was serviceable defensively, and Rutgers was elite defense the second half, elite, and he was on there a lot. I can look up how many minutes he played, but. The fact that he's able to contribute the way he's contributing right now, and just, you know, the way this team fought through so much. I thought 2 key statistics in the game: second chance points, Rutgers 10-0. Offensive rebounds, they had a 10-9 advantage, so +1 on offensive boards, but 10-0 in second chance points, absolutely huge. Derek Simpson had 5 of them. Cliff had 2, and Oscar had a 3 on a second chance. That was huge. And then 4 turnovers. Rutgers committed just 4 turnovers. Penn State, which doesn't ever really commit turnovers, had 9. They did still hold an 8-7 edge in points off of turnovers, but Rutgers only committed 4 turnovers. So as bad as they were playing in the first half, it wasn't because of turnovers, and they didn't ever turn it over. Penn State was making a ton of shots, and Rutgers was dragging offensively, and that's why they got behind. And once their mentality changed, I mean, they were downhill, and they just, you know, were in attack mode. They had confidence. They had spark. And, you know, you just knew with every made basket, Penn State was feeling tighter and tighter and tighter. And, you know, Penn State is still learning. I mean, Penn State has, I think they're the most experienced team in the country, or the Big Ten, in terms of how many fifth-year players they have. But they're still learning to win as a program. And what Rutgers showed tonight was that they are a program that knows how to win. Yes, they've had some bad games. They've laid some eggs at home. But this team knows how to win. And they just have to have the right mentality, and then they can do it. They have the talent. They have enough pieces. You know, and what's happening with the Mag injury is that they kind of have to change their stroke midstream. Not even midstream. I mean, 3/4 of the way. They have to change their stroke. And tonight was absolutely huge in making that step, in learning how to play differently without Mag. And it's Simpson in terms of his aggressiveness, you know, his poise. But also, you know, it's not just his mentality, but it's his skill set. I mean, he can beat people off the dribble, you know, and they don't really have anybody else that can do that. And he's under control attacking the rim. You know, he was distributing more tonight. He just played so smart. Led them with 16 points. We get into a little bit of that now. Let me just click on the visitor stats. So, yeah, Derek finished 16 points, 6 of 14 shooting. He had 2 assists. 6 rebounds. Wow. 0 turnovers. 0. Caleb, again, second half, Jalen Pickett, no shots. Caleb McConnell, 4 of 5, 9 points in the second half. Hit some huge shots. I understand the gripes. People get nervous when he takes shots. But, I mean, that was all heart tonight. That was all heart. And he's not 100%. And, you know, he's played really well against Pickett, his former high school teammate, and he showed out tonight. And you don't win that game without Caleb McConnell playing the way he did on both ends of the floor tonight. Just tremendous game from him. Cliff, you know, 9 points, 13 rebounds. He was only 4-9 for the field, but 13 rebounds. He really was huge. That, I forget when it happened. It was down the stretch. It was late. But he hedged off a screen, and he got his hand in the face of Pickett, and there was a shot clock violation. That was tremendous. You know, defensively, he's coming along. He's coming along. You know, and then you had Cam. Cam looked for a shot tonight, 13 points, 5-11 from the floor, 1 of 2 from 3. He had 6 boards. He had a steal. They only had 5 steals overall, which is not, you know, really surprising. Penn State really doesn't turn the ball over. They missed layups again. But again, the second chance points, they held their own rebounding. It was, I think they're -1, 39 rebounds total. But they didn't turn the ball over. They shot, you know, 6 of 18 from 3. But they, what did Penn State do? Let's see here. Penn State was 8 of 29 from 3, which is 28%, which is crazy. The last 8 games they've shot, so since Rutgers held them at the rack, 4 of 26. This was in my preview. I mean, they're shooting 41%, I think, from 3 in the last 8 games. They shot over 50% in the last game. They haven't made less than double-digit. They haven't made less than 10 threes in the game only once in the last 8. And they were 8 of 29 tonight. Huge. Rutgers 7-11 from the line. Penn State 8 of 13. But just, you know, such a gutty performance from this team. You know, it's significant for many reasons. First of all, resume-wise, these teams weren't really that far apart. So if Penn State won this game, Rutgers would be reeling. Penn State would have all the momentum. They'd won 3 in a row coming into this game. So this is a quad 1 road victory for Rutgers. Their 4th of the season. Their 6th quad 1 win of the season. Their 10th Big Ten win of the season. They're 18-11 overall. But 4th, let's just take a step back for all of those that, you know, need a refresher. Rutgers now has won 10 Big Ten regular season games 4 seasons in a row. After their first 5 seasons in the Big Ten, they won a combined 16 wins in 5 seasons. 16 Big Ten wins in 5 seasons, and they've won at least 10 in the last 4 individual seasons. More on the table, you know, but just remarkable, you know. And whenever this team, I mean, it's just this program under Peichel. It's really the identity of them. It makes it honestly kind of special because you know, for those of us that have been through so many down years, I mean, this team, you know, listen, I get it. They question you. They question everything about, you know, your fandom. At times, question your, you know, just life in general. They really, they do. They could test your reason, logic, your intestinal fortitude. But time and time again, they come through when they have to. And, you know, people write them off. And, you know, certain fans will always write them off. And they just keep grinding. And, you know, I think Caleb McConnell is the embodiment of this program. Derek Simpson is the new blood that, you know, I'm really excited about. I have said this, you know, privately, and I think I'll say it a little bit now, is just, you know, I do think that the veterans of this team, and this goes back to last year too, I felt this, you know, with Gio, with Ron, you know, with Paul, with Caleb. They've been through so much in elevating this program that I do feel like they've had a bit of a heaviness that they've played with the last couple of years. You know, and that is not a criticism. That is not blaming them. That is just, I think, you know, they have been through so much. And I think it's, you know, it's had to have taken a toll. And what I think you saw tonight was new blood that doesn't have that type of experience, or, you know, I don't want to call it baggage, but that kind of added perspective that almost in a way I can see how it can weigh on a player. And Simpson played with a lightness and with a confidence and with a you know, they say that sometimes freshmen, you know, play fearless because they don't know any better, you know, and he didn't know any better in a way. And I mean that as a compliment. I mean, you know, he just got the ball down to top of the key a minute to go. And I mean, he's, you know, he's balling. And there was no hiccup in his mind. There was just, I mean, there was just get to the rim. And it was beautiful to see. And I think that, again, I said it in depth on Friday, the mentality of this team just needed a change. You know, they just needed a change. They needed a flip of the switch. I don't think that they were that far apart. And listen, this win doesn't mean they're not going to have some struggles down the rest of the season. But this was the biggest win of the season, I think, just in terms of also what it avoids. You know, a loss tonight really would have put them under pressure. Next week, the final regular season would have put them, you know, I mean, they would have been the popular team to say we're completely crashing. You know, people would have started projecting them out of the NCAA tournament potentially. This is just huge for so many reasons. Also keeps them, you know, there's a 4-way tie for second at 11-7. There's a 3-way tie behind that at 10-8. They're in that grouping at 10-8. But listen, there's no reason to think they can't win both games next week. At Minnesota Thursday, at home against Northwestern, Sunday night, Caleb McConnell night, senior night. You know, this team, this could be the type of win that turns them around. Again, mentality-wise, and they kind of take off from here, and they reinvent themselves a little bit. Obviously, Thursday night in Minnesota is absolutely huge. You got to win that game. Have to. Quad 4 game. You know, you get the 11 wins, you get to 19, and then you give your a chance to, you know, win 12 and 20 against Northwestern, sweep Northwestern would be a huge statement. And you know, this team could sail into the postseason with confidence, as they should. There's a lot of pieces still left on this team. You know, the Moat Mag injury has done, you know, it really screwed up their mentality, and I think tonight is the potential that they've righted that issue. You know, I probably forgot something I wanted to say, but I just think that overall, the fight in this team, the grind in this team, this was a game we'll remember no matter where the season ends. It's definitely a game we'll remember in Derek Simpson's career. This is where his star, you know, truly emerged. Although he's been showing signs down the stretch of games ever since Matt got hurt. You know, Pikel's just shown so much confidence in him. I asked Pikel about Simpson this week. I wrote about it. And you know, he's, dynamics just need a change, you know, and he's a key part of that now. And again, I'm going to reinstate it so I'm not misinterpreted. I'm not supportive of the idea that Mulcahy needs to play less or be benched. Mulcahy, they need him. And I think maybe the young buck is the perfect, you know, kind of mind refresh that he needs to kind of remember what he was like back then and regain his confidence. Because if Paul Mulcahy regains his confidence and you have Derek Simpson to play like that, you know, the offense is going to be fine. And then if they can play defensively the way they did tonight against a great three-point shooting team, yes, you know, I love how people like to point out, you know, they got lucky. I mean, Lundy had a bad night, you know, in the rack. You know, there were so many open shots. But, you know, I think it was Jess Settles that said it in the during the game. Or maybe it was in the studio at BTN. But I think it's absolutely true. And that's, you know, just because they're getting open shots, you know, defense playing against Rutgers, they wear you down. You know, you accumulate body blows throughout the game that aren't apparent or as obvious to see, that don't show up in the box score other than those missed shots, you know? And I think that's where you see it. And You know, even if they're open, you know, they're maybe in the back of their head, you know, worried about someone running at them to close them out or someone boxing them out or whatnot. I think Rutgers does that to teams. I think mentally they get in their head and they wear them down mentally, they wear them down physically. And Rutgers just kept coming tonight. And, you know, it was just, with everything this team's been through, it was just great to see. So, really encouraging win, obviously, but just in terms of what it means moving forward, you know, it was encouraging to see. I thought that the out of bounds plays were, you know, top notch. They have been in the Pikel era pretty much the whole time, but, you know, an intent to get Cam involved is important. That's a huge thing. And then just, you know, getting downhill at the rim, defensively, you know, playing the way they did. They rebounded relatively well tonight. It was, yeah, they were -1. Not bad. 39 rebounds. You know, listen, they shot 38% and they won. They didn't shoot great at all and they won. So they didn't get a lot of transition tonight. I'd like to see more of that. That really would help them. But just a tremendous win on this season. 18-11, 10-8. Ken Palm from 35 to 30 now. Net, they were at 37 coming in today, I believe, 37-38. They should be in the low 30s now. Firmly in the NCAA tournament field. You win at Minnesota on Thursday. I think they clinch a bid. You win on Thursday. Got to win that game. I don't care if it's by 1 point. Win the game. They should have confidence now. They'll get some rest now. And then you come home to Northwestern and you just let it ride. So I think they're going to have a bad taste in their mouth and want to make up for the last 2 home games. But 4 road wins in Big Ten play. Also the 4th consecutive year of that. And 4 quad 1 road wins, which is super impressive. Yes, they have 3 quad 3 losses right now. Wake Wake and Seton Hall could easily slide back into quad 2. They're pretty close. But those 4 road quad 1 road wins is really separates Rutgers for resume wise in a big way. So I'll have Brad Wachtel on the podcast on Monday, probably to post either Monday night or Tuesday morning. We'll find out where he projects Rutgers in the NCAA tournament field. But take a breath, have a drink. Whatever you need to do, this is a great win. Thanks for watching, and please read all my content on the Scarlet Faithful.